line. He's trying to call in, I guess, to get some information. Elder YARAH, what's up, brother? You just trying to call in, right?
Yeah, I was trying to call in.
All right, you live right now with the professor.
All right, I appreciate you, son, man. Peace to you. And peace to Professor Williams. Man, it's an honor to be able to speak to you for this brief moment. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine, my dear. My dear, I'm still a woman. But I'm doing fine, my brother.
How you good?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just I read your work, and I just wanted to ask just a brief question in relation to a lot of what we hear about the Christ myth. Do you agree or do you disagree that there is, even though we have parallels among a lot of the dying and rising Savior myth, so to speak, and putting Christ within that scope, do you agree that there are, even though there are parallels, that there is a uniqueness in regards to the Christ story that doesn't exist in the other stories that we usually hear that are parallel with the Christ story?
You got to remember this, my brother, that the front cover of my book is telling the world that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth of any race, creed, called by the name of Jesus Christ. So there's no Christ parallel or whatever the case might be. There's no Christ, period. So, you really have to understand that. That's all religion. You see? And if I can, I don't have the time, but to walk you through the steps that how this non-human Christ was created. But now, when the first seed of Christianity was in Northeast Africa, all the Middle East today, and that is the church of Hagia Sophia. That was that seed. Now, in my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity, I have three things that brought about the Council of Nicaea. One, the Donatist-Schismatic controversy. Two, the donation of Constantine. And three, strong statements by Arius. Arius said that the race, or the rapper, whatever you want to call, was a created creature from the Father, not like the Father, Osiris, but a perfect creature, but a creature nevertheless. And I'm just jumping around now, but in Council of Ephesus in 431, that's where Serapis was transformed into the Christ. The Malachite Catholic Egyptian said that the Serapis had an Osiris-like spirit, but no human nature. In order to have a human nature, one has to be born through the body of and the Malachite Catholic Egyptian created a non-human creature by the name of the Virgin Mary. Even this Virgin Mary, the attributes of active, upset. And she amalgamated these two created creatures together. This Serapis, when the amalgamation was done, the Melchite Catholic Egyptian, speaking Greek, said, now this is the Christos. The Christos in English means now this is the Christ. Okay? Now, I'm going someplace with this. I skipped over a lot of history to get here. But anyway, 101 years after the Council of Ephesus came about, Justinian and his wife. Justinian was the emperor at that time. He commissioned African architects and African builders to build a church to house the Mary and Christ ideology. And they built this church called the Church of Hagia Sophia. The church was there. This is in 532. Finished in 537, December the 27th, 537. If you look on in my book, The Social Origin of Islam, on the very front cover, you will find a picture of the world's first Christian church, the Hagia Sophia. When the Ottoman Turks came in 1300, they had usurped all of the land that was controlled by the Byzantine Emperor during that time. And that pushed the last vestige of the Byzantine Emperor in a double-walled city in Constantinople. Constantinople today is called Istanbul, Turkey. So when they pushed them into that was their last stronghold. And they knew that the Byzantine Emperor knew that it was just imminent as to when the Ottoman Turks will come through their wall and seize the city of Constantinople and seize the church and the city. So to get ahead of that, in 1439, John VIII went into Florence and Ferrara, Italy, and relinquished the donation of Constantine to make way for that church, the first seat of that church, to be moved out of Northeast Africa, that they call the Middle East. 1439. That church was received by 6 humanists from Syria at Florence, Italy. The word TORAH means college. And they had 6 people to receive that church at the Ferrara, that Syria there. So you had 12 intellectuals to receive the seed of Christianity that was relinquished by John VIII in 1439. For purpose of moving it out of the danger and the imminent threat posed by the Ottoman Turks. So these 12 humanists went to the authorities in Rome and asked them for land that they could give them to create the second seat of Christianity, which they did. They allotted them land on the outskirts of Rome, near the catacombs. That's where it is today. And these 12 humanists called upon the brothers who are known today as in a moment here. They are called today as anyway, they were called into that name will come up. They came in to build as a second stage of Christianity. Okay? And they created the second stage of Christianity by building the Vatican as you see it today as a replica of the church, the first seat that was in Northeast Africa, called Middle East today. They built that as a seat, as a replica of that city in Constantinople, which is Istanbul today. And these brothers that built the second seat of Christianity for them are known as the Moors. That's the name I couldn't get it out at the time. But anyway, it was the Moors who were asked to come in to build the second seat of Christianity. They came in from Spain. Okay? And they built the seat, second seat of Christianity. And then once the seat was established, and the church was established, okay, they built the seat, second seat of Christianity. And then once the seat was established, and the church was established, changed Christianity from what Christianity had been created. It changed it. This is the key. Today, as I speak, the world is getting Western Christianity. They changed it. Now, how did they change it? They said that this Christ, they changed the identity of his father. They said that Christ was the son of Zeus. In Africa, he was the son of Osiris. So to get rid of that, he became the son of Zeus. And see that the church over there allied with the Spanish government. And in Spanish, the word Zeus is spelled, it's called Jesus or Jesus. Same thing, that's how you get the name Jesus. And they changed it for that purpose, of getting rid of any evidence of any Africans creating a name, Christianity. Now, the second thing that they did to change Christianity and make it European Christianity that's being taught today, they hired an artist by the name of Leonardo da Vinci. This is very key. To draw a picture of the Last Supper. And they put stories behind it. The person that created the stories behind that painting by Leonardo da Vinci was Erasmus. Erasmus wrote the first 9 books of the New Testament in 1560. He was a playwright. So now, they hired this Leonardo da Vinci to draw a picture of the Last Supper. Now, mind you, why was Christ created? Christ was created in Ephesus in 431. So it took them 1,045 years to put this Christ to death by way of the Last Supper. Because as you know, if you're on death row, they'll give you your Last Supper. You can eat anything you want, because they're going to kill you. The next painting that was created by Leonardo da Vinci was the crucifixion, created by Leonardo da Vinci. The crucifixion of Christ. I mean, they're putting him to death. The next picture that was created by Leonardo da Vinci was of Mary Magdalene. And the stories, all these pictures have stories behind them that was put there by Erasmus, playwright. And the story goes, that Mary Magdalene went to the grave with Jesus, and she approaching the grave with Jesus. She noticed the stone had been rolled back. Looked in the grave was empty, and then had ascended on up to heaven with his Father. All that, what's out there in Christianity today.
Okay, all right. Elder, are you Elder YARAH, are you finished or you got another question?
Well, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the professor's information, and he was able to give. And again, we should always respect and hold our elders in esteem, as I do this brother here. But I would like to have, if not a discussion with one of his best students, or maybe Tabari, if he can't find one of his better students, to have Tabari come on and let's discuss this, because when I hear certain things about Christ being created in 431 AD in Ephesus, then I must take a step back and review that information, because this is what I often hear from a lot of detractors when we talk about the historical, whether or not there was a historical creation of Christ that existed, or a historical Christ that existed. They always seemingly start at the Council of Nicaea, Council of Nicaea.
Let me ask you, do you believe, Elder YARAH, that Christ was a real person?
He absolutely was, and we have evidence to prove that. Again, like I said, it's a mistake by a lot of, especially a lot of contemporary historians, like Tabari himself. He often comes on and he starts his presentation around the Council of Nicaea of 431 BCE.
Okay, hey, let me continue.
Over the first century.
Let me also continue. Are you a convert though? Aren't you a convert?
No.
If you're a Hebrew Israelite. Hold up, Professor Mark Williams, just to let you know that this brother is an Israelite, he's a Hebrew Israelite. And you're saying you're not a convert though, Elder YARAH?
No, not a convert at all.
So you have always been a Hebrew Israelite?
I was raised that way, yes. I was raised in both Hebrew Israelite congregation and Christian congregation.
Now, here's the question to you. Were you born with a religion, or have your parents told you about a religion? Because you was born of all that, free. You was free of all of that. So who indoctrinated you with religion?
Well, when you talk about freedom and indoctrination and religion is man's attempt to explain God. That's not what we do, and that's not what I've ever been taught. We can't explain who God is. That's what religion is, Shaletta. Okay. But when you talk about understanding deity and how in a deity and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who we believe and who we know, right, has been as we see our creator. We see that in science, our creator. People call their creator what they choose to, and that's fine. But I believe that in a creator, there's a creator that exists, and that a creator has identified himself to me and to my family and to my ancestors in order to have a relationship with man, which is what we read about in the scriptures, right? The only thing we read about in the scriptures is the Most High God, Yah, wanting to have a relationship with his creation. That's unique and different from any other religion that you can talk about, any other belief system that you can talk about. You can go into Africa. We're talking about a deity wanting to have a relationship with his creation. That's the difference. And there's a uniqueness in that. Can't show me that in any other religion, which I can't even put this again, as I said, in a religion. So as it pertains to religion, absolutely not. But any knowledge that's passed down, whether we get it from our mothers or whether it comes from our fathers, our patriarchs, our matriarchs, that information is given to us. That is part of their job as a matriarch and a patriarch, to pass down oral traditions and beliefs and understanding and knowledge.
Do you consider yourself to be African and came over here on the slave ships, or some of us came over here on slave ships?
Yes, I do. I hold that wholeheartedly. And any Hebrew
were they Hebrew Israelites who was on them slave ships?
I absolutely believe that there was. Absolutely.
Okay. Professor, Walter Williams,
Yeah.
what do you say to these the statements and comments the brother making?
Well, let's go back to the Council of Nicaea 1, 325 CE. There was no religion on planet Earth of no kind, none whatsoever. So therefore, you have to really understand that. Religion started at the Council of Ephesus in 431, which is the 5th century. Prior to that, there was no religion on planet Earth. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you cannot use belief to establish the discipline of history or human history. That's belief. All religions will lead you and want you to believe, because that's the glue that keeps all religions together, is belief. When a person believes, that person is saying that I really don't know, but I believe it, but I don't know, I don't have no facts. What are the facts? Bring me the facts to what you believe in. Bring me using the discipline of history to get those facts. The question has to be asked, what year was the first created Bible and printed Bible ever created on planet Earth? That's the key. Okay? So if an individual can't answer that, then he knows nothing about religion, because see, religion steals your humanity away from you. See, because you go around believing in something that you know nothing about. And this black Hebrew Israelite stuff, I would have to ask the question to anyone: what is a black Hebrew Israelite? What is it? That's my question.
Is that a question to me? I would love to answer it.
Yes, answer, brother. Answer.
Yeah. First of all, let me say this: two things. Again, much respect to the elder, but again, as I said, anytime we have this conversation, they always start in the 4th century AD. That's a huge mistake. And anyone who's studying this and who actually claims to be a historian, for the simple fact, we have evidence and there are writings that no historian refutes that talks about the historicity and the existence of Christ in the 1st century, right? We have people that are writing in the 1st century. We have 1st and 2nd centuries, as a matter of fact, before the 4th century, or before any time of the Council of Nicaea. We have writings of Pliny the Younger, and I'm talking about extra-biblical sources. We have Pliny the Younger. We have Lucian. We have Tacitus. We have Josephus. We have people who are writing about the existence of this Christos, right, before the 4th century. So anyone that begins to start this conversation ought to be about regards to the historicity of Christ. If you begin at the 4th century, you already lose this argument.
Okay, so answer the question now, brother.
So about what a Hebrew Israelite is, a Hebrew Israelite can be one of faith, can be one of conversion, it can be one of birth. And I think this is what the argument that we have, because if we go into, and I'll give you a reference to scripture, we go to Isaiah chapter 56, it talks about those who joined themselves to the law, meaning those who were not Israelites, right, who were eunuchs, those who were strangers in another land. If they joined themselves to the law, what law? The law of
But
Moses.
Elder YARAH, you're smart enough to know that you can't use the Bible as a source or a reference, brother. You should know that.
I can't. Hold on, calm down, because that's not true, and that's another falsehood you guys need to stop doing. Because if you tag it as your basis and your argument as your premise, then that brings it into the realm of sculptory evidence. So as exculpatory evidence, if you bring that in, then I can absolutely use it. So if you don't want me to use it, then stop bringing it in. You can't say that the Bible has no validity, and then you don't want anyone to use it to prove it. How else do you prove something if you don't go into it and dissect it? That's the first thing you guys need to stop doing. That's intellectually dishonest and a poor intellectual argument. So when we do do is really get into understanding the real history. And the professor brought out a lot of history. And I'll dare to say, Jabari does this all the time. And why I'm using Jabari's name, because he's the one that most people are familiar with. So when I'm saying on this platform, what I'm saying is that when you talk about a lot of the things you started to talk about, Professor, in the 4th century BCE and moving forward, you're talking about the acculturation of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is not the 1st century church. It has nothing to do with the 1st century believers. It has nothing to do with the Jews of the Talmud. Stop. It's completely different here. And that's why the images are...
All right, Elder. Yeah, right. He said, hold on for a moment.
I hear. I'm sorry.
I never said that the Catholic Church was the first church. I didn't say that. I said that Hagia Sophia was the first Christian church on earth. And 532, finished in 537, December 27. That's what I said. I asked a question. When you're using the Bible, when was the first Bible created and printed? What country was the first? What city was printed in that country? What that was used to print that Bible? Who formulated that Bible to be put together as a Bible, using whose material to formulate that Bible to be put together as a Bible, and what was the Orthodox name of that Bible? So that's all I asked. Now give me those.
Let's talk about the Bible. We know there's no such thing as a printed Bible until after the 14th century, because we didn't even have the Gutenberg press until that time. So that's what so let me continue. So when we talk about the first Bible, we go back to Matthew's Bible. We can even go back to Bible.
All right, hold on, YARAH, hold on, because we got to make sure we get him right. He want to touch on every point. We don't want him to go too far.
I said the first printed Bible was in 1475.
Yeah, and I disagree with you.
Okay, you do what?
I disagree with you.
You disagree?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. When you say printed Bible, when you say a printed Bible, but let's talk about it. That's what a Bible is. A Bible is nothing but a compilation, of historical documents. It's a bibliography. It's not a creation. It's just like if I get a bunch of CDs, or if I got like rap and jazz or classical music, and I take them and I put them in my catalog. That's my bibliography of music, right? Like Michael Jackson has a Bible. He has a bibliography of music, right? Before he was killed, I believe, he purchased the Beatles' bibliography of music, right? It's just their music catalog. And so all we see what the Bible is a compilation of historical documents, of older documents.
All right.
We talk about St. Patrick and what King James did. He only commissioned people to bring those historical documents together and place them into one catalog. He never wrote, authored, or subscribed, or orated. King James never did that. He only commissioned a compilation of works. So we have to first understand.
All right, hey, Elder YARAH, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off because I got to be out of here. I ain't gonna be long. I want to give the elder some time to finish. I appreciate you coming on, brother, but I got to be out of here in about 20 minutes. I got to be out.
Yep, I appreciate the elder professor for allowing me to speak to you, sir, with all honor and respect. And again, much blessings and wealth and peace to you.
Peace to you, my brother. Thank you. We ain't gonna see you the last caller, so I wanted you to cut in. So thanks a lot, brother.
I appreciate you.
All right, peace, man. All right, so Professor Walter, what do you think about all these claims that he's making here?
They are not historically correct. I understand that Johann Gutenberg in 1437 created the first printing press with movable print, and that was just 41 years after the beginning of the European Renaissance era. Okay, and with that movable printing press that was confiscated by Johann Spuss, the capitalists who loaned him money that he couldn't pay back at a higher interest. I'm talking about Gutenberg couldn't pay back the loan. And it was confiscated. So now, was in 1475. The question that I asked, what country was it printed in? And what was first printed and created? I use those two words. What country was it printed in? What alphabet was it printed in? What city or town in that country was it printed in? Who formulated the Bible to be printed? Using whose material for it to be printed? What was the name, or what was the Orthodox name of that Bible? I said all of this. So those are questions that I never heard the answer to. I just heard rattling. So give me the answers to that. Okay? What year created and printed in was 1475. That's the date, the 15th century. But now you got to answer all these other questions that I asked after that. You got to give me some history of this. See? Now, you can rattle on and use in other areas of the Bible and so forth and so on, which is fine, but what I'm hearing is wrong information by way of human history.
Okay, Professor, let me ask you my last question, and then we're going to have to go, and hopefully we could do another part 2 sometime. Here's the question. No more calls, family. No more calls right now. Here's the question. Can you find the practices or teachings of ancient Egypt throughout the Bible?
No.
So you can't find no teachings of Kemet in the Bible or being plagiarized or something like that?
No.
Okay.
The ancient Egyptians did not write a history of themselves. They didn't write no history of themselves.
No, I'm talking about as they was writing the Bible, you don't see them copying some of the stories from Egypt?
No. What story they're going to teach? Don't have come from Egypt. The ancient Egyptians never wrote anything about themselves. They left us everything as an immortal legacy in stone monuments, art, literature. That's what they did. They didn't leave nothing in writing.
Okay. All right, brother. So in closing, would you like to close out? And hopefully we'll be back. I just got to go take my wife somewhere, and we'll be back probably sometime next week.
Okay, well, the only thing I can say that when you come on, say what you're going to have to say. Bring the facts and not conjectural. You got to bring the facts because no human on earth, you can understand that, was born with a religion. So, that being said, come back next time I'm on and bring me the facts.
That's it.
And we can go.
All right. Thanks a lot, my brother. Appreciate you. Have a blessed day for the rest of the day, my brother. Peace.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
Hotel.
All right, fam.